Imagine a world where the power of a king is absolute. A world where the ideas of liberty, of free elections, and of a government of the people, by the people, are nothing more than a dangerous, radical fantasy. For centuries, humanity has struggled, fought, and died for the right to choose its own destiny. The American Revolution, the French Revolution, and countless other movements for freedom have shaped our modern world, replacing the divine right of kings with the unalienable rights of the individual. But what if that struggle never succeeded? What if the idea of democracy, for some reason, never took root in the human mind? This isn't a simple tale of a world without elections. It is a deep, unflinching look into a different kind of human history, one where the power of a single family is absolute, where the concept of a nation is a foreign one, and where the course of human destiny was forever tied to the whims of an endless line of monarchs. This is a story of living under endless kings. The most immediate and dramatic consequence of a world without democracy would be a permanent and unyielding feudalism. In our timeline, the rise of the middle class and the decline of the feudal system were a direct result of a new kind of economic and political freedom. In this alternate world, that freedom never exists. The world would be divided into a small, wealthy elite, a class of kings, nobles, and lords, and a vast, impoverished working class that is tied to the land. The concept of a person's worth being tied to their birth, not their ambition, would be the only law that mattered. The world would be a place of a rigid social hierarchy, one where a person's fate was determined by the station they were born into. The global economy would be a beast we can barely comprehend. The vast sums of money that in our world are spent on innovation, on entrepreneurship, and on the free market would be controlled by a few powerful families. The world's wealth would be a concentrated thing, a treasure hoarded by a few powerful monarchs who would use it to build grand palaces and fund private armies. The concept of a free market, of a global economy that is driven by the creativity and ingenuity of millions of people, would be a foreign one. The world would be a place of a single, slow-moving economy, one that is controlled by a few powerful men who would use their power to maintain the status quo. Technology and science, too, would be fundamentally different. The great breakthroughs of the last 2 centuries, from the steam engine to the internet, were a direct result of a new kind of freedom. They were the result of a scientific community that was not beholden to a single monarch or a single set of ideas. In a world without democracy, that freedom would be absent. Science and technology would be controlled by the whims of the powerful, and the great discoveries of the last 2 centuries would be made in secret, for the benefit of a few powerful families. The world would be a place of a much slower pace of technological progress, a place where the next great invention is not shared with the world but is used to maintain a king's power. The social and cultural implications would be monumental. The concept of a national identity, of a people united by a shared history and a shared sense of purpose, would be a foreign one. A person's identity would not be tied to their country but to their king. The world would be a place of endless small kingdoms, of a constant struggle for power between powerful families. The concept of a common culture, of a shared human experience, would be a much more limited and a much more insular thing. The great works of art and literature would be created for the benefit of a few powerful families, not for the benefit of all of humanity. The world would be a place of a different kind of art, a different kind of music, and a different kind of story, one that is a reflection of the power of the few, not the dreams of the many. But perhaps the most profound consequence of a world without democracy would be on the human soul. The very concept of a person's worth, of their right to choose their own destiny, would be a foreign one. A person would be a subject, not a citizen. Their life would be a series of commands, of duties, and of a constant, brutal struggle to survive. The human spirit, which in our world is a force for rebellion, for freedom, and for change, would be crushed by the constant weight of a king's power. The very concepts of hope, of ambition, and of a better future would be a distant fantasy. The world would be a place of a profound sense of hopelessness, a place where a person's greatest dream is to serve their king well. So, in the end, what if democracy never emerged? The world would be a more stable, a more predictable, and a much more orderly place. We would lose the chaos of free elections, the uncertainty of a changing society, and the constant struggle for a better future. We would gain a world of endless kings, a world of a rigid social hierarchy, and a world of a profound sense of stagnation. It would be a world that is safer, more peaceful, and more secure, but it would be a world that would come at a terrible price. It would be a world that is a living, breathing testament to what happens when humanity, with its immense power and its childish squabbles, finally gives up on its greatest dream. The what-ifs are endless. We've explored a world without democracy, But what other form of government do you think would have had the greatest impact on human history? Do you think a world with endless kings would be a more peaceful one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to keep exploring how our world could be different, be sure to like this video, subscribe to Timeline Shift, and get ready for our next adventure.